Hello. So I just have a few quick things that I want to say that are words of precaution about keto dieting. I see a lot of people just diving in and not knowing a lot about what they're getting into. And I'm not anti-keto, but I'm also very much not pro-keto. I think you should only do keto if you are well aware of any and all food sensitivities, if you've done deep lab testing, if you don't have hormone issues, if you're guided by a doctor, then cool, do it. But it's just not something that you want to dive into, and that's why I'm here today, because I want to emphasize some of the reasons why you should not just say, I think I'm going to try keto, and just go for it. So a few things, people who should not do keto. You should not do keto if you have adrenal fatigue. And how do you know if you have adrenal fatigue? Well, if you haven't done lab testing, if you are constantly exhausted and stressed out, no matter how much sleep or rest you get, there's a good sign. If you are constantly irritable and just like feel like, every day, like all the time, and if you have to drag yourself out of bed and you can't function without several cups of coffee, you might be on the path of adrenal fatigue. Keto is a bad idea unless you're doing it with a doctor, from a doctor's recommendation. So so many people have adrenal fatigue and don't realize it, and it gets worse and worse until you end up with autoimmune disease. That's what happened to me. But I really want to stress this, because every time I see people starting keto and they don't know what they're doing, I want people to realize it's a dangerous thing. Keto should be thought of as a nutritional therapy. It is not a diet. And it's a nutritional therapy that is best done with a doctor. And I don't want to just lecture you, but it just like hurts my heart to see people dive into keto or think like, oh, maybe I'll try that. It's not something you just do on a whim. So if you might possibly have adrenal fatigue, if you can't function without several cups of coffee or caffeine, don't do keto without a doctor. Also, if you have a low tolerance to high histamine foods, don't do keto. You will end up feeling worse, most likely. What are high histamine foods? Some of them are dairy, cheese, yogurt, buttermilk, kefir, sauerkraut. There's a lot of other things. Some fruits can become very high histamine depending on how ripe they are. I won't go deeper into that right now, but if you don't know, like I am sensitive to high histamine foods. I know that because I've done lab testing. If you don't know, but you have some kind of weird issues with food that aren't figured out yet, don't dive into keto unless your doctor is hand-holding you through it. Another thing, if you have an issue with high oxalate foods, or oxalate foods, people say it different ways, don't do keto. And what are high oxalate foods? Some examples are beets, rhubarb, spinach, French fries, potatoes, potato chips, nuts. If you have sensitivities to those types of foods because they are oxalates, keto, it's a bad idea. Unless you're working with a doctor, but a doctor probably won't go that route with you. If you were like, well, how do I know if I have those food issues? Well, that's the sign right there that you probably shouldn't jump into keto. You should get the lab testing done, find out the food sensitivities first, and just figure it out before you dive into keto. This is my word of caution, words of caution. And another thing that I wanted to point out, because I heard somebody else say it earlier, and this is like, I gotta put this out there because it's not talked about enough. Because again, so many people jump into keto with good intentions, but they don't realize what a slippery slope it is, how seriously it should be taken. Hi, Michelle. And that is the fact that, so we know that like keto in general is very high fat, right? And that's good for your body. But when you cook these high fat oils, well, generally you want to stay away from vegetable oils in general because they create free radicals, they create damage in the body. So in general, keto or not, you want to stay away from vegetable oils. But keto being a high fat type of a high-fat way of eating. A lot of, you'll see these recipes on Pinterest or social media or wherever for like keto muffins or keto pancakes or keto this and that is cooked. If you're somewhat defeating some of the purpose of a keto diet when you eat something that's a keto recipe that is high in fat and it is cooked, no matter what kind of oils it has in it. Like even if it's, say like some kind of keto muffins with, and they put there's a lot of coconut oil in it to create the recipe, and that's the high fat that puts it into the keto category. But if they're muffins, they're cooked, so you're cooking that oil, and the oil is becoming like oxidized and creating free radicals. So it really it really diminishes the healthy part if you're getting the high fat from a cooked whatever. So hopefully that makes sense. So just to quickly review one more time, don't jump into keto if you have adrenal fatigue. Don't jump into keto if you are sensitive to high oxalate foods. Don't jump into keto if you are sensitive to high histamine foods. And really second guess your choices if you're doing keto, but you're still eating a lot of like cooked, baked, fried, anything that is high in fat, because the heat breaks down the goodness of the fats and creates some not so good things for your body to ingest. So that's all I wanted to say for today. Thank you, Michelle, for watching. Thanks to anyone watching later, and leave me a comment or questions if you have them, and have a great day. Bye.